Are you looking for a new whiskey adventure? Then climb in and buckle up. Get ready for one hell of a ride on the Whiskey Trip podcast with your host, Big Chief. Join in as he and his guests explore whiskey and dive into whiskey stories from around the world. Now here's your host, Big Chief.
Folks, you know, here on the Whiskey Trip, we celebrate more than just the pour in our glass. We celebrate heritage, tradition, and the stories that make this country what it is. That's why I'm proud to tell you about our friends at the Heritage Flag Company. These aren't just flags, they're handcrafted works of art built from whiskey and bourbon barrels that once held the spirit we all love. Every cut, every nail, every burn mark tells a story of patience and craftsmanship. Just like the whiskey we sip, these flags are bold, timeless, and full of character. Whether you hang one in your home bar, your man cave, or gift it to a veteran or first responder, a heritage flag isn't just decor. It's a statement. It says you believe in freedom, tradition, and the legacy we pass down. So saddle up, whiskey family, and head over to theheritageflag.com. Use code WhiskeyTrip10 at checkout for 10% off your order. Let them know Big Chief sent you. Because just like your favorite pour, the Heritage Flag Company is made to be shared, honored, and remembered. Now let's get on to the show. Hey, it's old Big Chief, and yeah, you're taking another ride on a whiskey trip. And folks, every bottle has a story. Every pour starts with a conversation, and sometimes, if you're lucky, a bottle becomes part of your own story. And today's show, sitting with me, are two guys from two completely different walks of life. I got Jared Porritt, a retired major from the United States Army, and Mr. Doctor. I got to say doctor. I said Mr., but Dr. Brion Dalton, a dentist who calls Nebraska home. Guys, welcome to the Whiskey Trip.
Well, thanks for having us, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
Yeah, and we all met through a barrel pick. We all went up to Dallas, and Brian, you were kind of a last minute filler, really, because somebody else couldn't make it. But we all met up there for the first time back in November, and we all stayed in the Airbnb. You got to get pretty close in an Airbnb with each other.
We were all pals, more or less, before then.
Yeah.
And that's what this is all about right here. And I really want to tell everybody that you are the two founders of Taking the Whiskey Ride, the Facebook group. A lot of people are starting to join. We're just hit over 400 members today in there. It's growing slowly, and that's what we all three wanted. But you two were drinking and talking and created a Facebook group to support the podcast. But it all started that weekend we went up to Dallas, Dennis, and picked a barrel of whiskey.
Yep. And, I think it may even start before then because, we had some mutual friends that introduced us, but really it's the whiskey journey started before. And, me kind of like watching and learning what you had to say. I was like, okay, this guy may have it. It may not just be his beautiful voice, but it's something more. Like I saw a purpose behind kind of what you were doing. And I'm like, okay, I can definitely stand behind kind of the purpose behind Chief, and, got to know you a little better from there, and it kind of blossomed from there. And, we had someone drop out of that pick, and I was like, oh, who can come real fast? And I jokingly messaged Brian. I was like, hey, Brian, can you come this weekend? He's like, yeah, I'll be there. I was like, awesome. I'll pick you up at the airport. So it was a good weekend.
Yeah. I think I walked into the Airbnb and Brian was in there watching me on YouTube, and I was like, oh God.
It was probably on Jared's device.
What is going on here? Oh, this is going to get real weird.
No, I was not fanboying.
He was watching those other videos I make though, Jared.
Yeah, those ones.
Yeah, my only fan page. But what I'm sipping on, and I think you two guys are starting to sip on it too, is this bottle back here behind me of the Big Chief label of our Ironroot pick that we did between the Whiskey Trip, Poor Decisions Rick House, Staves of Honor. We had Emiliano there from Steel Austin. We had Rob and his buddy from the Rack House up there in the colonies. Man, what a group of people that we put together to pick this barrel.
That was a strong team. And, we all kind of met. Well, you knew Rob beforehand, but all of us kind of met the day of. And I think we almost had the dream team put together.
Well, I think the beauty of that was just a lot of different people from a lot of different places with different levels of experience, and just kind of molding a lot of different people together that could contribute in different ways.
Yeah, I think that's what barrel picks are about, right? I mean, it is about selling whiskey, but that experience of a barrel pick can be very, very special. And, when you have 8 to 10 people on a barrel pick like that, it can kind of be hard to wrangle. And Ironroot was great at it. Let me help kind of run it. They, Jonathan and Robert both asked, "Hey, Chief, how do you like to do these?" And our two styles were exactly the same, how we like to run barrel picks. And I always like to go last, because I don't want my voice to overpower somebody else in the room that's new to whiskey, or they don't have a social media presence. So they're like, "Hey, this guy, he's the whiskey expert, so I'm gonna let him go." But I want to be last every time. And that's the way we did it. We got to go around the brick house and taste different whiskeys afterwards. It was a fucking amazing day, I guess. And almost into the night, they wanted us to stay there and drink more whiskey.
Looking back, I was like, we should have stayed, like canceled everything and stayed for the rest of the night there. But obligations are obligations.
Yeah, when you commit to something, and that's what I love about you two guys, is that you're like me. When you commit to something, you commit to it, and you gotta honor your commitment, honor your oath to somebody. And I think that's why all three of us do get along, and we mesh, is because we want to honor our commitments. We've kept every promise we said. Hey, we're going to do this. We did it. And that's why this pick turned out so good. And I think everybody that has posted about, I've never heard one negative comment about this bottle, except for the ugly sticker. They said the guy on the sticker is ugly.
I don't know. I have that poster hanging above my bed at night. So it's like, I keep on wanting the Bourbon Baroness to use you as like reading her blog at night. So it kind of soothes me to sleep. So having that poster above my bed and it'll kind of bring it all together.
Hey, I voted for the other sticker.
I'm sure your wife.
Viv loved the sticker, so
nobody voted for that sticker.
Yeah.
Definitely an inside joke, and we're not going to show that there up on the screen here.
Well, this pick was like our first pick as a group, and on the second half we're going to drink some Frey Ranch, and we've already did that pick up in the Hill Country, an epic sticker on that as well. Jared, walk us through your concept of doing stickers for bottles.
So I like. There's always the little piece of humor hidden in my whatever I do for stickers. So if you really look closely at, the Big Chief one, there may be a joke or two in the background, but really it's kind of telling a story of what the pick's about, or who the organization or the really the brewery or the distillery. Sorry, I had a beer earlier, so I'm thinking beer too. But who the distillery is. So we have the giant iron tree, the Ironroot tree, which kind of goes in the roots and into the ground. And that kind of tells the story of Ironroot and how they were. And then you got Big Chief, he was doing some research. He found a company that back in Prohibition time that had, Big Chief whiskey. And he just shared it with Brian and I one day. I'm like, let's make this the tater sticker. Kind of played with a little bit of chat, had some pictures of him, threw it in there, and it came up with this. And I'm not going to use the exact output of what ChatGPT does, but so I kind of put that in some of the editing programs, and let's make this better. and how can we make this tell a story of who we are as kind of the pickers and who's the main person that's preaching it. And then let's tell a story. And that's what it is. Kind of have to have some love to the brand and love to the story.
I mean, I absolutely love it. And I think a lot of people out there resonated with it and knew my story. They know my heritage. And I've had showed that pre-prohibition brand to people before. We'll pop that up here so everybody can see it. But you know, I love storytelling. That's what my podcast is all about, and raising up craft brands like Ironroot and stuff. Brian, tell listeners about, you know, what we've kind of come up for doing barrel picks. Are we going to do barrel picks like everybody else is doing?
Well, the problem with barrel picks is by the time everybody chooses the same exact thing, you got about 20, 30 different groups pushing out the same product. There's a couple different things, at least in my opinion. I agree with you that part of me supporting the whiskey trip is I do like supporting some of the craft distilleries and getting people's names out there and stuff. But to be truthful, you bring a lot of opportunities to us that we wouldn't have had otherwise. And there's just so many unique things out there. I don't see us being a, you know, multiple pick, multiple barrel group necessarily. Growing this slowly because we want the right people. But, you know, supporting people like the Freys, that's a perfect opportunity to support people that have supported, you know, the whiskey trip, but also they do a ton of awesome stuff also.
Yeah.
So we have coming soon, Frey Ranch, but we have Silk Velvet in the works. We'll be picking Silk Velvet and another great pick team. Actually, really looking forward to that one.
Yeah, I think what an amazing opportunity. And I got to tell folks, if you're not in taking the whiskey ride, you got to join this Facebook group. And you can never tell if one of the three of us text you or call you or send you a message, answer it, because we could be calling to say, hey, we need you on a pick team. You think you earned the right to be on a pick team. You know, you've been standing out for us, and you've been helping, and you've sold bottles. You've made positive contributions to taking the whiskey ride, and you know, I think that's what it's all about. But you also might be a ex-military member, like you know, Jared and myself, and we always want to give back to our community. And the things we've talked about of giving back to, we've even talked about there's a program that dentists have and doctors with children with cleft palates, Brian. You know, we've talked about that as well, right?
We have. We've talked about what's called the Mission of Mercy, which actually is a free access to care day for veterans. Nebraska Mission Mercy, and wanting to put, you know, funds towards something that's helpful to other people. Operation Smile does help children that are born with birth defects that can be fixed, that often don't get fixed. So that's just an idea outside of military support and first responder support.
Yeah, that just give everybody an idea of kind of what our three concept of doing charity work and making sure some of the money from a barrel pick is not going into our pockets. It's going back towards other picks, and it's going to great charities. You know, whether it be military or it be for children, we'll find great charities out there that this money's going to the right place and helping other people out. Well, let's get into a little bit about both of you, and I'll start with Jared. Jared, you know, you served in the Army. What took you to the Army?
Yeah. So, well, first, thank you for your service also there, Mike, because, yeah, I grew up a military brat, so I moved around in the Air Force every 2 to 3 years, and I saw the world, and I've had a great experience learning from there. And I always knew that I wanted to do something the same. So one of the books I read very young was Starship Troopers, and there's more of a story behind Starship Troopers than just, the movie says. It's to have a right to vote or to be a citizen, you need to serve the country. And I don't say service as in you got to serve the military, but giving back. And I kind of had that growing up of, to be able to contribute, you need to give back. So, towards the end of college, I was like, okay, what do I want to do? And I looked at my dad, like, I'm ready to enlist. He's like, well, okay, not saying you don't want to enlist, but how about you look at the higher purpose? Like, why don't you go to college first and then decide? I'm like, well, if I'm going to college, I'm going to make them pay. So being from Florida at the time, I looked at all the schools from the, close to the beach. I want to go surfing. And I picked a school that was 5 minutes from the beach to go surfing. And it was Florida Tech, and they had an Army ROTC program. So I'm like, I'll do that. And I did Army ROTC. My dad's Air Force. He made fun of me, still does, for going Army, but enjoyed it. And as I was going through school, I kind of adjusted my plan. I started as a chemical engineer. And now if I would have known chemical engineer, I could have been a distiller and, master distiller and done all that. I would have stayed. But I thought it was going to be all petroleum. And shows how much I researched my major. So I joined the Army, was an armor officer, did that for 15 years, and enjoyed every bit of it. And we were given the opportunity to get out. My wife and I kind of looked at it. Our son was starting school, and like, you know what, we want him to have the experience, one school, one set of friends, and get out there. And so I was medically retired and got out that way. But I had a great experience, and I got out of the Army and got another job where I'm still giving back. And this adventure going down the whiskey ride, taking the whiskey ride, is another way that I can continue giving back for it. So it's, how can I support people the best way, connect resources? So,
I love it. I absolutely love it. Now, the question here, you got to answer this because your dad can't get on here and whoop you or nothing. But what was your first whiskey that you ever drank?
So the one that really sticks out in mind, and in college, who knows what it was, like mixed with something, because there's those whole whiskey sours and all that. But we went on a spring break up to Nashville. So I went to school in Florida. So everyone comes down to Florida for spring break. So my buddy was, from Panama City. I was from Destin area. And he's like, hey, and I went to school in Melbourne Beach. So we're like, why don't we go to spring break where they're from? So we went to Nashville. And it's why we're at Nashville. We're like, well, might as well go to Jack Daniels. So we went to Jack Daniels, did the whole tasting, like, bam. So that whole rest of spring break, we drank way too much Jack Daniels. So I guess real first one was Jack Daniels. And I mean, both straight with Jack and Coke, you name it. We had a great time, but that's kind of sticks out. So
I love it. I love it. Now, Brian, how did you get into dentistry?
Well, I was raised in a family. My father was a dentist. So, and he was bound and determined to get at least one of his kids brainwashed into taking over his business one day. Actually had a brother who got accepted to dental school, but decided that maybe that wasn't really for him. So he decided about 2 weeks before that he didn't want to go. And so he had to brainwash one of us, and my brother's a physician, so he was out. But no, I took the exam early with the expectation of taking the MCAT also. I got into dental school before I had ever taken the MCAT, so here we are.
Well, you told me you failed the MCAT.
I never took it. I did not tell you that.
So Brian, what was your first pour of whiskey?
Well, if you're talking about experiences that we enjoyed, I can't really talk about my first whiskey, but if any, I don't know if you guys had this or not, but SoCo and Coke was a thing up here, and Southern Comfort is no longer a thing for me. But
give me your next gift.
Yeah, no, I should not have said that. No, I kind of the running joke with my friends also was Jack Daniels. In fact, one of my buddies that we meet up, who's on the other side of the state, one time was driving back and said, "Hey, if you can tell me where I'm at right now, I'm going to go buy a bottle of Jack Daniels and we're going to finish it on my dock tonight." And I told him exactly the mile. And so now every time he drives past that mile, it's called the JD mile. I don't remember much about the night, but I do remember which mile it is.
Well, we've all had moments of like that, you know. There was one New Year's Eve up in Sheboygan, Michigan, when I was on the Coast Guard cutter Mackinac. My buddies, they all like, "Hey, come over to our house," and they were renting a double wide trailer house at the time, and back then, I think it was Jack Daniels or Jim Beam that had a cherry whiskey. That was a cherry flavored whiskey. So I drank a 24-pack of Coors Banquets and that whole bottle of cherry whiskey, and I damn near tore that trailer house apart. Threw up in a spaghetti pot. And the revenge, my buddy's wife, a great friend of mine, Dee, she made me spaghetti in that pot not too long ago. We went up there to visit them, and I was like, "Isn't that pot?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, I scrubbed it." But the great memories and stuff. I wanted to kind of show listeners the different backgrounds that we have in the whiskey community. We all come from somewhere different, but what brings us together, and which is really beautiful, is that whiskey can bring people from different roads, from different communities, from different backgrounds together, and you can have something in common and have a common bond with something.
First whiskey.
What was the first whiskey that made you want to get into like the whiskey community, though, Brian?
That's hard to say. I will say this: those nights didn't ruin my Jack Daniels experience. I still own quite a few Jack Daniels bottles, and I'm into sipping whiskey. So, and Jack Daniels does a great job with that. I probably would say Eagle Rare. I'm a sweeter bourbon guy. Great thing about this group is that we have people from every walk of life, every different persuasion in whiskey. We've got Scotch people, we've got Indian whiskey people, we've got, so this is actually taking the whiskey right has actually opened my eyes to a ton of stuff. Excited to try different things that I never tried before. My go-to, honestly, is wheated whiskey. I still like the sweet, but I'm trying a lot of different stuff. So.
And what about you, Jared? What was your the first whiskey that you were like, okay, I'm gonna nerd out on this and I'm gonna dig in and learn more about whiskey?
That's a good one because, kind of got me back into whiskey because back in college we did that Jack Daniels and then joined the Army, and my officer basic course was at Fort Knox. So there I am, 2007 on the Whiskey Trail before they really called it that. And we went to Four Roses, hit up Maker's Mark, Evan Williams, Jim Beam, all of that, and tried them. But then it's like, oh, now I'm going somewhere else. I totally forgot about whiskey. And what got me back was, oddly, one of my bosses, we were up in DC, which I'm on a work trip right now in DC, pulled up a female boss. She's like, "Hey, try this." And gave me a glass of Blanton's with a giant ice cube in it. I was trying, like, okay, this ain't too bad. And then I was like, okay, so I tried some other things, and it was Wild Turkey. That it's like, wow, I like this Wild Turkey. So Wild Turkey 101 is what kind of set me on this. Again, even though Blanton's kind of reopened my eyes, you can never find Blanton's then. So it's Wild Turkey 101.
Right. I mean, I've heard so many people say that, they had a bad time with Wild Turkey in college or in high school. And then, they go back to a bar, they sit down at a bar, they get it neat and they taste it and they can't believe that whiskey that almost ruined them with whiskey really resonates with them today. I would say I had some bad moments with Jack Daniels back in the day. And I absolutely love Jack Daniels today, especially the, allocated stuff that's out there. Those single barrels that you can get from Jack Daniels are absolutely amazing.
Yep.
That's what we search out. We were talking about, Brian, you brought up that there's Taking the Whiskey Ride has really grown into something more than other whiskey groups out there that I've been part of. Most whiskey groups, you only have bourbon people in there, or you might have a Scotch group, or I don't know, I've never heard of an Irish whiskey group. But usually people love a particular type of whiskey.
Yeah.
But in our group, there, like you said, there's Irish whiskey drinkers in there. There's Scotch drinkers in there. There's bourbon drinkers in there. There's rye whiskey drinkers in there. And I love that about people. There's craft drinkers in there. There's people that are still chasing bottles, chasing the rainbow. And everybody's really respectful with it. But we always talk about be the rising tide. And the person that I'd like to give a shout out to this week that's really a rising tide in Taking the Whiskey Ride, and he's always talking about whiskeys, he's always posting content, is Rich Crandall. Rich, thank you for being part of Taking the Whiskey Ride. You're what it's all about. You're that rising tide. You're help raising people up and educating people about Scotches and Irish whiskey. If either one of you, were you either into Irish whiskey before?
I was. I am, because I have a niece who's Irish who got married there, and so I had to do a little studying up before I went over there because I wanted to try as much Irish as I could. Needed to get a little bit of an idea, so actually I had a friend that sent me 20 samples just randomly. I didn't ask for them. I just knew he was into Irish whiskey. He sent me 22-ounce samples and said, try all these and you'll find what you like. And I made a point when I was in Ireland to go to the Jameson Middleton distillery and try a whole bunch of stuff, but I'm into it more now.
And what about you, Jared?
Does an Irish car bomb count?
Hey, does it have whiskey in it? It probably counts.
I don't think you can ask for that over there, but I'm not positive.
Yeah, that'd probably be the only experience, and from that experience, I haven't had another one. No, I'm slowly trying this American single malt stuff.
Yeah.
Some of it's good, some of it I'm still a little on the edge. But one of your past visitors, what was it, Ranger Creek, and that
Mesquite,
yeah, that one that we tried after the Texas Whiskey Fest that you brought over. I mean, that was pretty good. So I'm like, okay, maybe this will open the door for me kind of going that route. Taking the whiskey ride is, again, it's about kind of the experience and kind of get to know new things. And it's a long road, but it's a fun road. And we're there to kind of grow it and have an experience.
Yeah, I think whiskey groups, and we've texted back and forth about this, is, how fast do you grow a group? We could grow the group as fast as we wanted to. We could have 4,000 or 5,000 people in there overnight. But do we have 4,000 or 5,000 people that are actually communicating with each other? They're getting on there, they're participating and stuff. And life just gets in the way for people, and they kind of forget about it if they don't do it. If it's not their life. People ask me about it all the time. They're like, what do you see on social media? And I was like, I don't see anything on social media. All I see is whiskey. I'm in 60 different Facebook groups just for whiskey. Am I really in those Facebook groups? I probably am not. I use them to push my podcast, my content out there and stuff. And I'm very grateful that groups do let me put my content in their group. And, not everybody's in every group. So a new person every day might find my show, and that's how I want to grow it, is organically. And that's what groups are all about. But Taking the Whiskey Ride to me is special because we have distillers in there. Like I always say, we have content creators in there. We got whiskey nerds like you guys in there that want to connect with other whiskey drinkers around the nation. And that's what these barrel picks are. We're trying to do something different that nobody else is doing out there. Ironroot said that they only had 2 picks last year and we were one of them. To me, that's pretty special. I guarantee you this Frey Ranch, we did, there's not one out there. And ours will be one of a few that are out there this year from Frey Ranch.
Yeah. And if you look at it, it's like we are being purposely selective of what you're looking at for a pick. If we go to a shop, if a rep comes, they come with a suitcase with preloaded samples of, well, here's 5 barrels from X distillery. This is what you pick. Well, they're going to go to the next shop and they have now 4 barrels. So you're kind of hand picking who we want to highlight, but it's someone that's good and someone that you want. But then our pick team is not just one person's one palate. You have Brian from Nebraska. You got me from Texas, you from Texas, but then we have other people from other parts of the country. So the palates, it was different. We're used to different kind of whiskey. So it's not always the same overly crazy flavor.
Yeah, I think, when we asked Ashley for a pick, I called her up and she asked me, hey, Mike, what do you like? What do you want? And we looked through their kind of catalog of what we could have got. We could have got a rye. We could have got one of their bourbons. And I'm just a wheat nut like Brian. I was like, hey, could we get a wheat? And I really was talking about a wheated bourbon, but she was like, would you do just a straight out 100% wheat? And I was like, oh, absolutely.
Yep.
And we tasted through some just amazing whiskeys. And she did pick out us some great samples and sent them 375s at that. I mean, I got one right. The actual pick is right here. You can see how much we loved this little sucker. Mm-hmm. And I'm very careful about who gets to try it. I need to save enough for a review for my tasting notes for this thing. But what a banger we picked. And these 2 guys right here were on that pick team, along with the Hemingway brothers. And my brother Mitch was there. My best friend from high school, Larry Kruger, he sat at the table. He didn't drink none of the whiskey, though. And we had a good time.
Though, remember?
Yeah. I think it was a great pick. It was out in the hill country. We did it outside, a little chilly that day and a little misty. But man, what a pick. And I feel like, Brian, you brought up that we're going to go out to Western Kentucky Distilling in October and do a pick. And we'll be up there, and the pick team we've put together is absolutely amazing. People from all different walks of life. And I think some people will be surprised who's on the pick. We wanted to make sure that we had different people on there to kind of showcase some talents. And I was think if you looked at the whiskey knowledge on that pick team, people will be stunned. There is some deep whiskey knowledge on there. Yep. And that's not even with me there. That's other folks that are coming. Yep. I think people will be absolutely stunned. And what we're going to pick there, I think we'll get something absolutely beautiful. Jacob Call is going to be there, Zach Hargis. And I think we'll get treated pretty special. Mm-hmm. I think on that trip, we're going to try to go up to Green River and visit Green River. And then we're going to visit the Bards at Bard Distillery. I'm hoping that we can get all this in because, Brian, you're only going to be there for mere hours.
Yeah. Short trip,
so you can go back and tailgate a little bit.
Yep.
But me and Miss Viv, everybody knows how we roll. We like to roll pretty heavy, and we'll stay up in Kentucky and Tennessee for a couple of days and celebrate my birthday up there and hang out with Miss April. I'll get to hang out with my sister for a little bit up there. So I absolutely love it. Well, before we finish up this first half, I had a couple more questions for you guys. this Ironroot pick, were you guys surprised at it being 100% corn, and then it's 35% Bloody Butcher corn, and then it's 65% Yellow Dent corn? Did this whiskey surprise you? Because we tasted some bourbons that day. Did any of them surprise you guys?
Well, so, this wasn't your number one pick. You wanted one that, it was good. And I was getting a lot of green pepper note off of it. And it was still like, I remember we're like, hey, we may want 2 barrels. And it did surprise me that the variety of picks they gave us and how different each one was. And having Emiliano kind of there using the knowledge that he has, and he kind of broke down the molecule difference between a banana note and a vanilla note, and the difference of that. So, and then how each of the picks were different. So like this one did surprise me because I'm thinking, oh, I need to have a little bit of barley in it for some enzyme and not 100% corn or whatever. And then it's like, this is 100% corn. I'm like, what? This isn't mellow corn. I was expecting a mellow corn kind of flavor or dusty, but no, this one like popped with just vanilla goodness.
Now, Brian, was this your number one bottle right here? This one?
This was. But I think the value that I added to that group, maybe where I lack in a little bit of the knowledge, was just being from somewhere different, thinking that we're going down there. People may have a specific predetermined notion of what we might be getting from Ironroot. I will tell you this, I kind of did going into that, and none of the stereotypes I may have ever heard before would be true about anything that we tasted. I wouldn't have been able to, I was amazed by the things that we were tasting down at Ironroot. Like I had no idea what they were doing down there before that day. But what I felt like with this pick was that it would appeal to the masses, meaning just I had a little bit of a different take on it, just because I'm not from there. But also I just felt like people from all over could come together on this particular pick. They all were awesome, I thought. And I actually really did like the one that you picked. But I felt like this might be one that we could maybe would appeal to more people.
I almost bought that second barrel. I mean, it was really tough not to buy it, and really had to have a discussion with myself. I talked to Robert about it a couple of times, and he was very gracious with me. He said, "Hey, Mike, if you really want this barrel, time after time," he's like, we'll make sure that you get it. But I got to make the right decision for our group, right? And realizing that everybody thinks it's easy to sell 200 bottles of whiskey, but it is not easy in a group to do a group pick. No. You can get on a roll and start rolling them out too fast, and then you can be setting on a bunch of whiskey, and that can be very, very expensive. I don't think people realize how much money is involved in these picks, and what kind of trouble you can get yourself into if you do too many.
And you've kind of said it's like to appeal to masses, but selling it, that's the gimmick right there, especially if the bourbon market has changed.
Yeah.
And we knew that the barrel was coming. We found out, okay, this is the pricing and all that. Like, okay, let's start pushing it. We all kind of looked at each other. It's like, okay, can we do this? And we each kind of jumped on it, and we had some great partners down in New Orleans that helped us, and we were able to get this push. But we had a moment there within the first, we thought maybe in the first hour it'd sell out. And after that first hour, we kind of like, okay, we need to regroup. But, over the course of the next few hours, the barrel went, and we're like, So it shows the market is a little different than it was definitely 4 years ago.
Yeah, I think we're at a different market. People, they're being careful what they buy. Can people afford $200 bottles? Can they afford $100 bottle? Will they buy that, or do they already have a bunch on their shelf to where they're like, man, can I do another $100 bottle right now while gas is almost $4? $5 in some parts of the United States. So you got to take all that consideration. Know your pick team. Can your group sell whiskey? We'll take in the whiskey ride. How many bottles will we sell inside taking the whiskey ride? And I'm sure we'll get to a point where we're going to have plenty of people that'll be lined up ready to say, hey, what are these jokers picking this time? Because I think even while the whiskey is absolutely stunning of all the picks, the bottles themselves that we're picking are always going to be unique, I think. This bottle, we waited around for it. This was their new bottle. Frey Ranch's bottle, you could kill somebody with it. It's so heavy. The topper with it. And then Silk Velvet's got a beautiful, you see the one up behind me back there. I think, Brian, you got one handy, right? I just love different bottles, and picking the same wine bottle over and over and over and over. It just doesn't get fun. So, that we're at the end of the first half. We could go on for hours. That's the great thing about it. Two great guys like yourselves, great conversation. I got some quick fire questions, and Jared, we got an amazing giveaway, right?
Oh, yes.
What are we going to be giving away in that second half?
Well, so I kind of dabble in the garage a little too much. And, some people like to do some blinds tasting or some samples of different flights. So I kind of used my laser engraver and made something with, let's see, I think this is from a Wild Turkey 15-year-old barrel, a stave for flights with some glasses on it. And then there may be one of those bottles in your background that's going to accompany it.
That's a pretty badass giveaway, folks, right there. Well, and you're going to have to stay to this into the second half to figure out, hey, how do I put in for this? So watch the entire video. If you haven't yet, hit that damn subscribe button up there on your YouTube channel. Subscribe to the Whiskey Trip so you'll know what I'm doing all week long. We've talked about taking the whiskey ride several times. In the break, make sure you pause, open up that Facebook account. I'll pop up taking the whiskey ride logo for everybody, even though Jared's holding the sticker up. But I'll make sure that you go in there, join the whiskey ride, answer the 4 questions, come in there and participate with us. It's super important. Before we close out this first half, I want to tell you about Frontline Heroes Outdoors. My good buddies over there, Preston Wall, the whole crew over there, they're taking veterans like Jared and myself, active duty military members, reservists, and first responders. They're taking them into the outdoors. They're taking them fishing, hunting, hiking. They're taking them to therapy sessions, retreats. They're taking them to movies, football games, basketball games, and letting people get their mind off of the stresses they went through in their career. So I'll pop up their QR code, their logo. I know Preston. Well, Jared, you take it too, right? But
I'll take it.
Frontline Heroes Outdoors would take $5, $10, $50. Hell, they'd take $1,000. If you got big money pockets like the dentist down here, hell, you can give $100,000.
Well, see, I thought you were telling me I would take the trip. I'm like, yeah, I'll take the honey trip with my mini-me, my son. I'll go on the honey trip.
Well, hey, why haven't you joined and why haven't you put in for those? I got to tell you, folks, if you're a first responder or a military veteran or you're active duty military and you're watching me and you reside in the state of Texas, go on Frontline Heroes Outdoors website, join it, and put in for some of these hunts, put in for these retreats. They're for you, and I want to see as many people get supported by that program. Well, everybody, you stick with us and we'll be right back. The Whiskey Trip is proudly sponsored by Guardian Coins, a veteran, family-owned and operated company that understand what it truly means to honor service, story, and tradition. Guardian Coins just doesn't make the challenge coins. They craft symbols of pride, legacy, and camaraderie. From military units and first responders to distilleries, brands, and special events, every coin is designed with purpose and built to last. Here at the Whiskey Trip, our official Whiskey Trip Challenge coin was brought to life by Guardian Coins, and it represents exactly what this ride is all about. Craftsmanship, community, and sharing a great pour with amazing people. From custom artwork to flawless finishes, Guardian Coins works with you one-on-one to turn your vision into something tangible, something you can hold, collect, and pass down. So if you're looking to create a coin that tells your story, whether it's from your unit, your brand, or your next big milestone, trust the folks who know how much that story matters. Visit Guardian Coins on Facebook and tell them Big Chief from the Whiskey Trip sent you. Now pour something good and let's get back to the ride. Hey, we're back for the second half here with a Whiskey Trip, and I got my good buddies Jared and Brian on with us. And folks, I wanted to talk about friendships, and there's a guy named Ward Davis, and he recorded this song called Fairweather Friends, and Willie Nelson recorded that as well. And I always think that life storms have a way of clearing the trail for you. Fairweather friends disappear when the rain starts falling, but the ones who ride beside you through the storm, that's your tribe. And to me, this is my tribe right here. The guys that will ride through the storm, that they, even though we might have a tough time selling a barrel or just kind of growing this group, taking the whiskey ride, you two will be there for thick and thin. I know it, between our conversations and with charities. And we haven't, I don't know that we have, but we really haven't had a disagreement like, hey, fucking piss on that. I don't like that idea. I think we're all three at an age where we're like, there's got to be some compromise. And, I always try to bounce ideas off you two and say, hey, what do you guys think about this or that? And I got to say thank you to both of you. Number one, for taking a chance on my old ass. I've got a certain way about me. I can be cantankerous, and I'll admit it. I can be a straight up asshole if I have to be. If you get on my wrong side, and people are like, oh, I don't know how to take him and stuff. Usually it's only old little feather that knows how to take me, and says, oh, fuck, I better step away for a minute because he's about to blow. But I just wanted to put that out there to everybody. I do believe in fair weather friends that when times get tough, they take off on you. And, Jared, you probably know that just as well as I do, of being a military member and stuff. You turn around and you're like, where's my family at? Where's these people that are supposed to be such great friends? But, friends come and go. But you two have this year right here, you've helped make it amazing. And I feel like we are building stuff. And there's other people out there. The Hemingway brothers, I'm going to drag them some bitches kicking and screaming if I have to. But there's all kinds of people like that. I dropped off 2 of these bottles to Dr. Min Tran the other morning at his practice. And I was like, man, we have drug him. We have drug him into taking the whiskey ride, and I'm ever grateful for his support. I came to Southeast Texas and I started over, and leaving the bourbon road was tough, and I didn't think I was going to start another podcast, and then I started it, and I'm just about getting to where I feel like, okay, I'm back to where I was. Because when I first got here, somebody was like, who are you? You don't have any numbers, and a lot of people look at the numbers, and I'm like, just give me a chance.
Yes.
But now people are starting knocking on that door, sending me emails, calling me, hey, how'd I get on that? How'd I get on your show? How'd I send you whiskey? And, I just launched the Chief's Pour, me reviewing whiskeys every week. I just released my first one last week, and I got a new one this week with Steel Austin. Hope you watch it. If you haven't put in for the Unrained bottle right here, this weeded bourbon right here, that I know everybody's going to love. And
Well,
that's a
Well,
badass bottle right there. Hands down, gorgeous bottle with a lot of detail on it and stuff. Some great whiskey in here. It's a blend of Texas and Kentucky, but this bottle right here, one of my rocks glasses, is in that giveaway. You just have to go on YouTube, watch the 13-minute video, and put in for the giveaway. That's it. I'll
I
send you
want
that
that
bottle.
bottle,
Brian's
but
like, shit, send it to me.
I keep getting disqualified
He's
from
already-
these things. I'm too close to too close.
Well, I mean, that happens. And that's the great thing about you too, or you're not greedy. You've never asked me for anything extra, even though we try to share whiskey with each other. And I'm ever grateful. Vivian, she went out, and you know what I'm about to raise up here. She shook it. She was like, "This is from Jared." And, I got this little bottle right here with little burrow on there. This is some Mexican whiskey right here, that Jared posted about in Taking the Whiskey Ride. So if you want to know about that and our ideas on this, go in there and you'll see our comments once I taste it. I got to taste it in private though.
It's a future pick, I hope.
We'll see. But let's get into these some questions for you guys, right? What other barrel picks? What was your first barrel pick, Brian, that you had ever been on before?
Probably an Art of the Spirits would be my guess. Yeah,
that's a big money pick.
I didn't know exactly what I was in for, but now I've kind of acquired a few of their bottles. I enjoyed that, and I've enjoyed experiencing them. So that was probably my first.
I love it. What about you, Jared?
All right, so in another sister group, did a few picks, but they don't I was never sent a sample to say I like this one, but it was that Wild Turkey 15-year buff turkey barrel that the group got. That I was sent all the samples and I tried them first. I had Russell's Reserve 15, I had Russell's Reserve 13, and then 3 picks. That was the first pick, and then I sampled it out to the team. But if we wanted the barrel, we had to pick that night, so I could contact the organization that we got it through to say I want this one. And the Hemingways were part of that. They confirmed my pick was right, and we actually got a very good barrel off that. And since it's Wild Turkey, I'm a Wild Turkey fan. It played well. So I think that was but that wasn't in person. That was mail to my house, try it that night. In person, barrel pick was with the Whiskey Blendery when we picked something to go into that Wild Turkey 15-year-old barrel, and kind of skyrocket my interest right there of barrel picks and the experience.
Wow. I mean, I think my first barrel pick was back in 2018. Maybe, it was 2018, a Wilderness Trail rye bourbon, and it was pretty fabulous. The liquor store we were with that day, they'd asked us if we kind of did a partnership with them, and we almost bought 3 barrels that day. I think we ended up with 2 barrels. And I was scared. I was like, oh my God, what am I getting myself into here? Cause then you start doing the calculations in your head and you're like, that's a lot of people. And I remember Miss Viv, she was like, how many bottles do you have left to get rid of? And I was like, oh, I got 200 left. And she's like, what? And how much is each bottle?
Yeah.
She's doing the calculations in her head. And, it can be a lot. That's what's crazy to me is people really don't realize what they're getting into when they do barrel picks. They're just taking this crazy chance. Now, what are you guys sipping on for the second half?
Well, I'm going through since I'm on a work trip, I only brought a little bit of Big Chief's whiskey, so I dumped it in something. But I'm working through some samples, and right now I have some Copper and Cask. It's a single barrel pick from Liquor Library that I'm sipping on.
Currently sipping on a
What about you, Brian?
JT Meleck, 118 proof.
That quite possibly could be a future pick right there. And we talked about this in a mid break, and something we're trying to work out with the Frugers there and JT Meleck. But I'm hoping that we'll have a very special pick from there that nobody else has. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag just yet, but you got to stay tuned for that. Well, what I'm sipping on right now, because I got to take the bottle home with me, and there's not a whole lot left, as you can see. This is that Frey Ranch wheat, 128.42 proof, 100% wheater, like I said. And this thing has candy, spice, and I think there were 6 of us there. I think 5 of us picked this as our number one bottle. And I mean, the scores blew everybody else out, the other bottles that we had. This one just has everything that everybody would want in a bottle. And I think this thing, like I said, when I say something's a banger, this is it right here. And I know people have already reached out to me and said, man, how do I get on that list for that bottle? Well, you got to be in Taking the Whiskey Ride, number one, because Jared's going to put that out, and you got to be ready. You got to be ready that day when he puts it out. New Orleans is going to come hot and heavy for it. And it's luck of the draw, right?
Yep, luck of the draw. And I think as this is you're clicking on it, watching it right now, it's being bottled. So it should be shipping within the next few weeks to us.
You were talking about, what I kind of bring to the table for barrel picks. And, if you get on barrel pick, I'm not trying to outshine anybody else. I'm just there. But what I can do is, because I've had so many people on the podcast, and I've recorded with so many people, and I've built these friendships, is I don't have to call a distributor. I don't have to call a store. What I do is I call the distiller themselves straight up, and talk to them. And usually when I'm recording with them, I'm talking about doing a barrel pick behind the scenes. And that's how it happened with Ashley. I called her up and said, hey, can we do a barrel pick? She said, yes, sir. And she said, where do you want me to send the samples to? Same thing with Silk Velvet. I called them up. I didn't call a distributor. I didn't call a store. I called straight to the source and said, hey, I want to do a barrel pick. He said, here's the dates that I have open. I kind of messed that up. I should have took the first dates he had, but I was messing around with dates, and then I ran out of dates, and I'm like, okay, what other dates do you have? And he gave me a date, and I was like, I guess we got to take that. But we still got a barrel pick without having to go through anybody, going through a distributor, a store, what the store wants to pick and have on their shelf. It's what we want, and I want people to know that that's what we're doing here, and we're trying to pick these special bottles. I wanted to get into Taking the Whiskey Ride and how you two jokers came up with that idea that night and said, you know what, we're going to make a Facebook group, and Chief's just going to have to hang on and take this ride with us.
Ooh, that's a hard one right there. So we had another group going, and we had a good amount of support in that group. But then there's some people we just want to talk whiskey. We don't want to push different podcasts, but we still want to be supportive of it. So Brian and I, drinking too much, we're like, hey, why don't we just take a ride and see where it goes? So I would rather have a purpose behind a group versus just having a group. And I still love the purpose of the other group of having fun, but I think it's the Whiskey Ride's more about, let's highlight the good stuff of the whiskey community and the stuff that's really not being pushed. So we have all these giant distillers that are doing picks and everyone's chasing those. But I wanted, and talking to Brian, kind of behind Chief's back was how can we highlight him and highlight these good craft distillers that are pushing some good stuff and bring them all into just have a conversation. And I think Brian could build off that too.
Well,
so
my feeling was, some people are into influencers, some aren't. Some are into different things about the whiskey community. I felt like you were pushing a lot of things. One, charitable contribution, support of veterans and first responders, different causes that I could stand behind. Now, I'm not a veteran, but I agree with you guys when you put some of these things together. And quite frankly, I kind of look at the whiskey trip as a two-way street. Like, I feel like you're supporting a ton of people, ton of craft whiskey distillers, but they're also supporting you a lot of times. This is a good example of it. Ironroot pick was a good example of it. The Silk Velvet pick was a good example of it. The Frey Ranch is the perfect example of it. You've opened some opportunities for them. They were opening opportunities for us. But I just felt like, hey, that's part of growing the group slowly also is I don't want those people to lurk, in the background, kind of just seeing what everybody else is doing. I want to lift them up. I want to give them an opportunity and a forum to talk about their products, but also I want people to support them because the whiskey industry is tough right now. So
yep. You got to think look at the marketing right now is, they're spending not billions of dollars, but multiple $1,000s on marketing when really it's the consumers. Let's talk about them and give them a space to have that, reach out to them, and they can jump on our forum or the page and start talking about some whiskey and not be pestered by the people chasing them. And that's what we're all about. It's like, hey, come post stuff. And we don't want the fanboys of the ones that, hey, give me. We want the ones that are like, hey, we love your product because of this. And hey, why did you choose to do this kind of thing versus that? And you can get them on there having a conversation instead of like, hey, what can I get from you? So,
yeah, I think, when I started this, back in my old podcast days, when I first started, I got told nobody cares about craft distillers. Nobody wants to know their story. And I'm like, well, who wants to listen to the same story over and over and over about, I love Jimmy Russell, but God dang, I've heard that story so many times on so many shows. And I'm like, okay, I'm over that. The same thing with Buffalo Trace. They've got a giant marketing budget. I know these craft distillers. I know I've been inside out of craft distilleries around America, and I know that they're small families, they're businesses, and they, you guys were in Ironroot with me. Everybody that works there was there that day. There's 5 of them there, and they're just a little family, and that's their business, and they depend upon that. Robert and Jonathan's children and wives depend upon that distillery being successful. So each bottle of this, a portion of that went to that family. I know that it didn't go to a giant corporation. It didn't go to the Brown-Forman family or Sazerac. And I'm not saying we'll never do a pick with Brown-Forman or Sazerac. More than likely we will, but I love doing craft distilleries. And, case in point, this past week I had Samantha from Garrison Brothers on, and I took a clip of her talking about their volunteer bottling, and a guy on TikTok said, oh, they're just wanting free labor, and shame on them. Well, I got to tell you, whiskey nerds like myself, I will go 2 days and I will spend that 2 days in that bottling room and dip wax and have a good time and drink the John Daly tea that they make in there with lemonade and tea and some of their whiskey. I'll eat lunch with fellow nerds like myself, and I'll have a great time. And it is volunteering. And hey, Dan Garrison's coming in there, Samantha's coming in there. You never know who's going to walk in that room at any time when they're bottling. Hell, I walked in there one day and there was several people in the volunteer group that knew who I was, and they were like, "Man, Big Chief, you're here. What are you doing here?" And I was like, "I'm here filming a episode." And that's what those volunteers, that's what they're there for, is for the experience. And they get to drink good whiskey and they get good food. And, if you're not living life like that and you're just looking at what other people were getting out of you, or what you can get from them instead of giving back, I think that's what this whiskey community is all about. So don't think these distilleries or Garrison Brothers are the only one doing that. There's several distilleries across America that have that volunteer program. Ironroot, they have a volunteer program like that. So does Frey Ranch. It helps them out, and it's not free to them to feed a bunch of people lunch and dinner and breakfast and feed them extra drinks. So it's a give and take, I think.
And, Garrison Brothers, I signed up for that and I'm still waiting for my email. But I think if they can market a bed and breakfast or bed and whiskey on site, like Airbnb there, money maker. Like I'd go there in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I know there's several distilleries that are starting, I think, that concept. And me and Viv went out to Unrain for their grand opening, and we're going to go back out there and record a full episode. But that's what they're looking at, is to make Airbnbs out there where you can stay and roam with a buffalo out there, because they got a bunch of buffalo out there. And everybody wants to see Big Chief ride a buffalo, right?
I do too.
Well, I'll pay money for it.
But I think every distillery is looking for a way to bring consumers in and give them that experience, for people to take and get off their phones for 30 or 40 minutes and really pay attention to what a distillery like Unrained is doing. It just simply amazed by the place. I was like, man, they put some thought into this. And a lot of people say, hey, this ain't the time to be doing that. But, people that love whiskey love whiskey.
Yep. Now, if you're saying like Still Austin, they just have a massive, they're expanding down there. So when you have the market, it. And, I wish I would have been able to drive the hour and a half out to Unrain and been out there with you hanging out. But, things happen. But it's beautiful. The pictures that you showed. Oh yeah. It's a beautiful spot.
Yeah. I just, experiences like that. And do I get the backside experience? Do I get different than everybody else? I do. I'm not going to lie, and I don't try to brag about it. What I try to do is showcase it from other people and stuff. That's what's great about it. When you guys came up with taking the whiskey ride, when you came up with a name, did you guys have to really think that out, or you just like, bam, this is what it's going to be?
I'm not exactly sure how that came about. My main thing is I wanted to support the whiskey trip. I felt like there was a little bit of like Jared was saying, I think everybody wanted to support it. They just wanted to focus on whiskey. And I said, well, hey, I would never even have heard of Iron Wolf. I would have never have heard of a lot of distilleries outside of, the main ones, without having influencers and stuff like that. And I will say this, and I want to say this about taking the whiskey ride, is it's not all about the whiskey trip. We have other influencers in there too. And that's a willing testament to you. We're trying to build a community. This isn't a competition. And for what it's worth, the picks are not for profit for us. They are for charity for us. So, I can get behind a lot of these things. And when you talk about the whiskey nerd thing, heck yeah, I would take a day or two and go and do that. I got to get an email into Garrison Brothers. I'd love to do that. I wouldn't feel taken advantage of. I'd feel like I had a great opportunity.
Yep.
Yeah, I think a lot of us feel that way and stuff. And, I felt like the barrel pick that we did with Ironroot was just it was so special to me and stuff, but I know how the licorices are, and that's how they treat everyone is bring them in and make sure that they feel like they are the absolute kings of the world. And I haven't been to a distillery that doesn't treat their folks like that. They want them to feel special. They want them to feel like, man, you are really important to us, and you're helping us out. So I appreciate both of you guys. Even naming it that, because whenever I first started the podcast, I'd been doing the Bourbon Road for so long that my entrance into the show and then my exit from the show, I was so ingrained in me to say that stuff. And it took me, I think, like 20 takes to figure out what I was going to say. And some people would ask me, hey, what are you going to see? How are you going to bring yourself in? And people have made fun of me for saying that. Thanks for taking a ride with me. And to me, taking a ride with me means, you're letting me showcase these craft distilleries around the country, and you're kind of joining in with me on my adventures. Because trust me, Viv will tell you, I get super excited when I get to a distillery, and I got to stay focused on what I'm doing. But my mind is going crazy in there, and I'm looking at every little detail, and I'm trying to paint a picture in my head for my show, but I'm taking in what kind of still it is, if I can smell the mash cooking, if they're cooking whiskey, and it's tough to focus on the task at hand and not be a whiskey nerd myself, because you two have been around me. Somebody's like, do you really drink whiskey? Well, fuck yes, I drink whiskey. I drink whiskey with the best of them. And I absolutely love it. I love every type of whiskey. To be honest with you, I don't like peated whiskey that much. I've never lied about that. And you've probably watched some episodes where I'm like, man, you can see that on my face that, that peated stuff is not for me, but I'll try it, and I'll give it old college try. And I'm sure one of these days, one of them's going to hit me just right. I'm like, oh, that's pretty good. Well, let's get to a quick fire round, guys, and remember, quick answers for me. No army briefings for you, no dental consultations. Okay. First answer that comes to your mind. All right. And we'll start with Jared, and then Brian, you answer second. That way you're not answering at the same time. You guys ready? Jared's like, I don't know if I can do this without an army dissertation. Bourbon or rye?
Bourbon.
Rye.
Texas or Kentucky?
Probably still say Texas. Kentucky, but I'm learning a lot more about Texas.
All right. Neat or with water?
Oh, neat.
90 proof or barrel proof?
Barrel proof.
Barrel strength.
Sweet or spicy?
Sweet.
Spicy.
Pot still or column still?
I still.
I like the combo still, but it depends on the type of whiskey. I do get down with some Irish whiskey, but column still is pretty consistent.
Column still. In all seriousness, column still.
A barrel pick or a bottle hunt? Which one would you take?
Yeah, if I know who's picking it, barrel pick.
You get more of the character, the more of kind of the individualist. And like you said, you're not going to taste that again. So it's like end of the year selection of what it was your top whiskey of the year. You're never going to taste it again.
Here comes that army dissertation we were talking about.
I'm done. My PhD is done.
Distillery tour or whiskey festival?
Yeah, distillery tour.
Distillery tour.
Rick House or tasting room?
Oh yeah, Rick House. There's nothing like a Rick House during the hot summer. You can't. That can't be duplicated. Yeah, right.
Dissertation.
Drink it or collect it?
rephrase the question.
Would you rather open your bottles or would you have them set up on a shelf?
Open them
and
all.
share. I think I sample out half a bottle before I even get to taste it.
Fancy whiskey bar or a pour around a campfire?
Pour around the campfire.
Where do I get to drink the other fancy pour at? Okay, well,
the Stanley Hotel.
Oh, yeah.
Best whiskey you've ever tasted. And
Cheesy
you can't say out
Porritt.
of Chief's belly button.
Oh, is that an option? So I just got one from Brian, cheesy gold foil.
That is
That
delicious.
was delicious.
I will say, and it's probably not going to be super popular because it's BTAC, but probably William LaRue Weller.
Hey,
It's a
you know
weeder.
me, I'd drink it. Most overrated whiskey you've tasted.
Blanton's.
Also unpopular, but I will say some of the older Pappy Van Winkles at their lower proof do not hit it for me.
Well, I've said this before on my podcast, but George T. Stagg to me is it's overrated. I think people overpay for it.
Yeah, I cracked a bottle of mine, and I'm like, can I trade it? Get something new?
One distillery you haven't visited but absolutely want to.
Probably Wild Turkey.
That sounds good. I'm going to Heaven Hill in October, and I've been looking forward to that.
Been there several times, and I absolutely love it. Been to Wild Turkey several times, and man, both of them are. The river view at Wild Turkey it's amazing. One person you'd love to share a pour with, living or dead?
Big Chief.
Well, I want to share a pour with you guys again, but we live in different
I appreciate
places.
That.
I don't know if my grandfather could take barrel proof, but I'd love to have a pour with my grandfather.
Cheers to that.
Now, Jared, this one's just for you.
Uh-oh.
Because, it'd be illegal for...
okay, but good. I'm glad that we're getting the disclaimer in there.
Bourbon before an Army staff meeting or bourbon after the Army staff meeting?
Why not during? Before.
If I'm going to be I'm going to be at the Army staff meeting,
all right,
that means I have the day off. I'll drink the whole way through.
Now, Brian, this one's for you because you're a dentist. Root canal or 160 proof whiskey?
I like the 160 proof whiskey a lot better.
He needs to do the root canal to
basically
pay
that,
for
yes.
The 160.
Now, Jared, what's more painful, an Army staff meeting or a root canal?
Haven't had a root canal, so it's going to be an Army staff meeting.
Now, Brian, this last one is for you right here. Who's more stubborn, a retired Army major or a big chief?
Yeah.
Hey, you asked.
Okay.
You didn't have to say yourself specifically.
Who has the better palate, Jared or Brian?
I'd probably say Jared.
Brian.
I probably know the answer to this one right here, but who talked more during the Ironroot barrel pick?
I think everybody knows the answer to that one.
Chief.
I think it was
Emiliano, a lot of talking.
Who's more likely to say, let's have one more pour?
It's kind of hard to say. Probably Jared.
I think you'd both be passed out.
That's probably. Well, you'd be the one to say it.
Oh, yeah.
I thought you meant between us.
Between us, yeah, but no, you drink us off the table.
Just out there listening to music by myself.
Yeah, drinking 10 high.
Hey, 10 high was the bomb back in the day. Well, guys, I mean, we've been talking for a while, and now it's we're getting to the end here. And I know, Brian, you got some business to do tomorrow at your shop, not pulling teeth, but making your shop
sometimes
better, right?
You got to do the business of the business.
And Jared, are you flying back home tomorrow? You're not going to be in DC tomorrow, or?
So I'll be in the morning, and we got some more classes for work type things, and then flying back home.
Well, I appreciate you two coming on here, introducing yourself to listeners, and especially to all the folks in Taking the Whiskey Ride, and kind of introducing yourself as the founders of Taking the Whiskey Ride. I know that's something very prideful to say, hey, I found this, I'm building this. And I hope one day we look back on this and say, man, we have the best bourbon group, whiskey group in all of whiskey, and that we're filled up with distillers and content creators. You talked about that, Brian, of making a space for other content creators. And I try to pride myself in that. If a content creator reaches out to me, and I'll give a couple guys shout outs here, Distilling the West, some young guys out in California. I'd met them guys when I went out and did a barrel pick out there and did a distillery tour, and they'd ask me for some help and ask me questions like, what kind of mic do you use? What kind of other gear do you have? And I let them know. And then the Bourbon Gator, Kevin.
Yep.
He reaches out to me, and me and him talk all the time and text each other. His dad actually works at one of the ports that's under me, and I give as much advice as I can to somebody like that and say, hey, these are the mistakes I made in podcasting. This is what you could do better. This is how your interview could be better. If you have moments where nobody else is talking, make sure you do your homework, and that way you can fill that space with content. But being a student of the game, and that's what I want to be, and give help back. Brims and Barrels, I could keep going on other shows that have reached out to me and said, hey, Mike, but I reached out to Brims and Barrels and said, hey, I need a new platform to record on. And they're a very, very young podcast. Even the Noble Dram said, man, you're like an OG. And we had a long discussion about mics and to wear headphones or not wear headphones. I've been wearing headphones for almost 8 years, and I find it hard not to record with them. That's just a personal preference. But that's just me. But I appreciate you bringing it up, Brian. It's important to me to give back more than I take. And I know some people are like, that's just a fucking gimmick, Chief. It's not. I really believe in that. I believe in giving back more whiskey, asking the distilleries to give back and say, hey, support those people that supported you. And we'll tell people, because you could share a bottle with one person, and that person will take it to a bottle share and share it with 50. That could be 50 bottles you sell in a liquor store, or it could be a lifetime of bottles that you sell. You never can tell what kind of, because you did that act of kindness, how that can lift somebody up, how that can make them feel, and how that can make them loyal to a brand. You heard me talk about loyalty last week with Samantha, but that's important. Loyalty to brands is very important. I'm very loyal to Ironroot. These two guys would tell you, I love me some Ironroot. I love the family up there. They do nothing wrong in my book. Maybe got us that whiskey a little slow, but that was some troubles they worked through.
That bottle, and we could have had this bottle months ago.
Oh yeah,
we want the beautiful bottle, and it's well worth the wait. But Ironroot, they opened the doors and they were climbing on other barrels. Like, hey, try this. So you're right. They opened the doors, and other podcasters. So the Bourbon Gator, he has a good purpose behind what he's doing. So yeah, support all.
Well, let's get to this giveaway, shall we, guys? So what are the items that you have? And I'll put up the picture that Jared sent to me, but the items that you have for this giveaway are what?
So I have a flight board. So it's a stave from a barrel that we one of the barrel picks that in the past that I've done, and in that it has the Whiskey Trip logo on, or not the Whiskey Trip logo, taking the Whiskey Ride logo on it. 4 Kinsey glasses with the logo on it, and each glass is numbered 1 through 4, so that if you're doing a blind, you can have them all numbered and you know what they are, or you can have your spouse dump them and you can figure it out from there. And then the good old Ironroot pick that we did.
That's a pretty badass giveaway.
That bottle
Don't you
right
think
there,
so, Brian?
You'll be sad
Yep.
when it goes. It's that's a great gift or giveaway.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is what you're going to have to do for this pick. We're going to do this just in Taking the Whiskey Ride. So if you're not in there, you listen to the show, you got to get into this. If you don't have a Facebook account, you got to get yourself one. Sorry. But that's where we're going to do this giveaway at. This is coming from us. You know, this bottle cost us, these jokers right here and myself. But what we want you to do is we want you to put an emoji of a feather. You should be as many feathers as you can on there, but do emoji of a feather, and then tag 4 friends inside the Taking the Whiskey Ride. You can't tag people outside that Facebook group. So tag people in the group.
Invite people.
Invite 4 people. Yeah. There you go.
Questions. They have to answer those questions.
Make sure that because this is an Ironroot bottle, I want you to follow Ironroot on Instagram, and I want you to follow the Whiskey Trip. Like and share the post, and share it out. You can copy this, right? And share this link out.
Yeah.
Or can you not?
Well,
How about you do this? You can if you're in Taking the Whiskey Ride, you can share the link to Taking the Whiskey Ride with your friends. So we'll try to make that easy for you, but please do that. We'll do the giveaway all week long in there, and I'll be doing the post about it so you don't forget it. And then I'll announce the winner on. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let Brian announce the winner for me. I'll get him to record it, send it to me, and I'll put it out.
I think I could do that.
Do you think you could do that for me, Brian?
And I think he's cool that he can sit by and do it.
I haven't bought one yet.
He hasn't bought one. He hasn't bought one yet.
Yeah.
Just climb in somebody's backyard. But then what we're going to ask from since Brian's going to announce it, Jared is going to pick the winner for us. No randomizers. He will pick the winner. We don't use randomizers. We pick people that have actually stuck with us and participated. And, I just don't like randomizers. I never have, never will. And somebody's asked me about that recently. Why don't you use a randomizer? It's fair. And I'm like, well, I think the way I do it is pretty damn fair. I'm not picking people that aren't supporting and disappear. And I've had some people that I have gotten a giveaway lately and then they disappeared. Remember that I'm like an old bear or old donkey on it that he put on that label. I got a thick memory, and I remember when people leave Sasquatch. Well, maybe come find you in the woods. But that's the giveaway for this week, and it brings me to thinking about giveaways and helping people out. I wanted to talk about Cajun Yankee and Hearts and Barrels, his charity. I want you to check out Hearts and Barrels. This charity he's got going over on the VFW in Lake Charles, Louisiana. I think it's February 27th, but I'll put the link up for that. I want you to go check that out. And then also my good friends at Whiskey Valor Foundation, trying to eradicate drinking and driving in the military community. Now, Jared, you were in the military. I'm sure you saw several soldiers get DUIs over your career.
Yeah, no. So being a company commander or even platoon leader, or even more than that, sadly, I've had soldiers that get DWIs or whatnot and had issues with alcohol. So it's like we have to follow the law or the rules the Army puts. So sadly, some of them had to end their careers. But, we do everything possible to help support them. So Whiskey Valor Foundation is a great foundation I wish existed years ago or even when I was a stupid lieutenant doing stuff where I could have used instead of, walking home or just passing out wherever. But no, they have a purpose behind it, and it's not just, trying to publicize their own thing, but no, they're trying to help soldiers or military members. So
Yeah, what a great deal. We popped up the QR code here. We popped up their logo. Check them out. Like I said before, give $5, $10, $50, $100. If you like Brion and you're rich and you can go out and buy pools to sit by, give $100,000.
Yeah. We'll have one next week.
But trust me, folks, I wouldn't pick these charities, the 3 charities that I brought up, Hearts and Barrels, Frontline Heroes Outdoors, and Whiskey Valor Foundation. There's 3 charities that I really do believe in. They're great causes, and I hope you will help out. I'm not asking you to say, hey, the Whiskey Tramp sent us, or I'd appreciate it if you do, but I don't need that. I just need people to help these charities out, help folks out. If we can eradicate drinking and driving in the military, or work, if we could save one soldier, sailors, airmen, Marines life, one Coastie's life, by getting them an Uber ride, that's what I want to do. So, gentlemen, any last words for everybody?
Answer the questions.
Always remember there's somebody there to listen to you. It could be a friend, it could be just an ear to talk to, but you're not alone. And that's kind of the big thing about taking the whiskey ride is, hey, reach out to us if you need to talk to. Any one of us will talk to you. And I know Mike sent people over to me because what I do on the real world now is like, hey, can you help this guy out? And I still every once in a while randomly reach out to that individual, like, hey, how you doing? So you're not alone. And once you get out of the Army, you're still not alone, or the military, you're not alone. There's always going to be someone there for you. So,
yeah, I mean, hey, if you're part of our family taking a whiskey ride and you need somebody to talk to, all you got to do is send me a message, man. I'll call and talk to you all night long. It's something that I feel passionate about. I know these 2 guys right here would too. Sometimes I'll text them late at night and I kind of feel bad for it, but I really don't. I just text them and say, hey, what's up? I'm brushing my teeth right now. Well, I want to remind people one last time here, about friendships. Like I said, life storms have a way of clearing the trail. Fair weather friends disappear when the rain starts falling, but the ones who ride beside you through the storm, that's your tribe. And you 2 are definitely my tribe. I appreciate you guys for everything you did for me and continue to do for me in the future. I can't tell everybody what a great time we're going to have in the future and what this community is going to look like in a few years. I think people will be shocked at what good we can do for folks. And we got a guy up in Austin. Brion's almost as close to me. I probably could drive there just as fast with Houston traffic. So, but guys, I appreciate it. You guys are both on Instagram. What's your handle on Instagram there, Jared?
The Sticky Jackalope.
That sounds disgusting.
Mine's boring. It's just at Brion Dalton.
What about you, Brion? Oh, awesome. Well, follow these 2 jokers. You know where you can find old Big Chief at. You can find me at The Whiskey Trip on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and now YouTube. As I'm always saying, hit that subscribe button. I'd appreciate it. Now, if you're listening to me, I want you to listen to Matt and Mark and the whole crew from the Bourbon Life. And if you like what they're saying, you like what I'm saying, I want you to leave us that 5-star review and leave us some comments. Now, you can take and copy those comments and put them over on my Facebook account at The Whiskey Trip. But seriously, those comments, they open up doors to distilleries. They get great whiskey in my hand, like this Ironroot or this Frey Ranch. I'd appreciate it. If you've got a distillery in your backyard and you want them to take a ride with old Big Chief, reach out to me at Mike at the Whiskey Trip. Tell me about them. I'll check them out. Not everybody makes the cut to get on the show. But as you've seen with Porchlight Distillery, sometimes those dreams, they make great stories, and that's the story I want to tell, and the hard work and effort. So sometimes people do make the cut, and I appreciate everybody that sends me a name or a distillery and says, "Hey, I'd like you to have this guest on." I got some great guests coming up. Dude Poole, a buddy of mine that is a podcaster as well. He's written a couple books, and I'll be having him on in the future. I'll have the original founder of Rabbit Hole on pretty soon here. I'll have some Green River on the show. I got all kinds of exciting shows coming up. You just got to tune in and listen. I got some great reviews too. Don't forget about the Chief's Pour on YouTube. Watch it and comment. Those comments, they help me out. Subscribing helps me out. Tell people about the YouTube channel. I really appreciate your support. This is old Big Chief, and thanks for taking this ride with me, baby.
Thanks to our sponsors, the Heritage Flag Company and Guardian Coins, for making this episode possible.